Well, well, well. Here we are.
Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountains should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. And darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me.
Oh, thank you, Dolly. I was just rambling on. Let me see if I can remember. I said that the person that did the cover is Sharon Little, and she's got a great voice, doesn't she? It looked like they were singing from their apartment, although they do sing in a nice studio. I've seen her do songs in as well. Anyway, welcome to all of you. Evelyn, Dolly, Stellar, and so far that's it. Glad you're here. There's a lot going on in the news, and not just in this country, but around the world. Sounds good now? Okay. Yeah, sorry, I hit mute because I forgot to put my headphones on, so I put my headphones on and forgot to take the mute off. That's how that worked. But anyway, yeah, just saying I'm mourning the loss. The Mariners lost tonight against Boston, although I shouldn't feel bad. They won 3 straight before that against Cleveland. So nobody cares. It's baseball, right? 162 game season. We got a long way to go. World Series is about the only thing people pay attention to, and sometimes only what happens in the 7th inning stretch. But anyway, glad you're here. Not sure what we're going to talk about. We could talk about, anything. It's Pride Month. I'm going to be doing some videos upcoming about Pride Month. I'm going to take on, there is roughly 6 or 7 primary verses in Scripture that are used to beat LGBTQ people over the head. And I'm going to take them on one by one, beginning with Genesis chapter 19. Not tonight, but I'll be doing that this month. And I want to make it as simple as possible, but as scholarly as possible, so that, hopefully people will realize that what we've heard so much in our life is simply a very bad rendering of Scripture. And I'll be able to give you the best now present insights of contemporary scholarship today. So that's what I'm planning to do here very soon. Also want to talk about the political state of the union in which we are part, those of us that live in this country. For those of, I'm sure around the world that are interested in what goes on here as well, there's war raging on several fronts, and there's an awful lot to be concerned, and really war here at home as well, on the streets, specifically things going on in different cities, not really necessarily things that people in this country are, I would say, responsible for, but there's an awful lot of taunting and tempting going on. I'm putting it in a nice way, by the government, trying to incite, I would say, incite violence. We want to see it for what it is. So, but anyway, there's so much to talk about. My goodness gracious. I was going to, Dolly, you were asking me, yeah, Happy Pride Month for sure, about a song, it's John Lennon, right? Imagine. And then I think I mentioned, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was Imagine. And you had mentioned playing that. I have played it in the past, but it's a problem because of copyright on that specific song. A lot of songs you can play, but a lot of the Beatles songs you can't for reasons that only they know. But I do have a cover of Imagine that I'm willing to play, and I know there won't be any copyright problem. It's a cover done by a very talented, are you ready for this? 4-year-old, a very talented 4-year-old. Yeah, that's that's pretty amazing. Uh, Carolina Prochenko is that child prodigy. I think she's about 16 or 17 from Ukraine, and she plays the violin. That's her little sister, the 4-year-old. Um, anyway, I thought you'd enjoy that. I did get a copyright warning. Hopefully it won't cut us off here. We'll see. But anyway, yeah, I think John Lennon would approve. Um, when you see an image like that and hear such a beautiful little voice, it really does kind of make you think that the problems we have should rather be simple. Unfortunately, I guess they're not really, but we should care about children. We should care about families. We should care about protecting vulnerable people. And I think that's really kind of what it comes down to with all the problems we face and all the anger and emotion and fear. Our country seems gripped with fear. We really need to be aware of certain things. I think that especially reminders like a child and a child's voice and what comes out of their heart kind of, puts a balance and puts things back into a proper perspective of where things should be. Pebbles, welcome to you. Good to see you. Very good to see you. I had a quote by Hubert Humphrey. I'm going to see if I can find it. Here, I think I see it. And let me drag it in here. This is kind of one of my quotes, favorite quotes, at least this time of year with what we're going through. I think it says an awful lot. It says Hubert Humphrey famously stated the moral test of government is how that government treats those who are in three places: in the dawn of life, the children. I'm going to pull myself out of the way of this. In the twilight of life, the elderly, and in the shadow of life, the sick, the needy, and the handicapped, or perhaps the refugee, the veteran who is suffering from PTSD or Agent Orange or any number of conditions, or the homeless. You can add quite a few examples here. And of course, this is just an echo of Matthew chapter 25. But I think Hubert Humphrey said it very well. And he was, they found in his wallet a famous quote. It wasn't that one. This one's his, but it was from Gandhi, and it was the 7 deadly sins. I don't have those ready. I'd have to just pull them out of my memory. But wealth without work, politics without principle, science without humanity, religion without sacrifice. That's 4. I don't know if I remember the other 3. But I think that he was like Jimmy Carter, someone who had a real moral foundation in his life, and it showed itself throughout their political careers, both Hubert Humphrey and President Carter. And I think it was very important, really, that we were able to see them, because they become for us a role model, really, don't they? Just like that child, we look at a child so innocent and so vulnerable and innocent, and we want to protect the child. We want to hopefully ensure that child will have a good chance at happiness in life. And unfortunately, today, with the way things are politically, that's becoming more and more difficult to do. So I'm just kind of looking at side chat here. See, Scott, welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. So let's see. That's just an opening salvo here. I wanted to share a little bit. In Scripture, often it says, "A child shall lead us," and in some ways, in that musical rendition, a cover of "Imagine" by the Prochenko 4-year-old Ukrainian girl, it gives us a moment to pause for humanity and what really counts, and the children that are dying in the Gaza Gaza Strip, or even now over in Iran, and the children that are dying, trying to find refuge, you know, a nation that will take them in. They may be running from all kinds of very difficult circumstances. Of course, the Holy Family was also a refugee family. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph went to Egypt because of the death threats on the 2-year-olds and younger. And so we can find ourselves, and the important thing is, we can find ourselves in very dangerous circumstances. But what really counts, I would say, and you all know this, we all agree, is what we do about it. What are we going to do about it? We can circle the wagons and protect ourselves, or we can open up a space for others to find a safe space within our circle of where we are. And I think that we're still able to do that. I think we can enlarge our hearts and certainly expand our minds to consider the possibility of doing that. What was it, Dolly? Let's see. Oh, the 7 deadly sins. Yeah, these are the 7 sins according to Mahatma Gandhi that I was sharing. I could remember 4 of them off the top of my head. I couldn't remember all 7. But yeah, if you were to Google Gandhi's 7 deadly sins, you would find them. They're a little more up to date. They're obviously a little more 20th century as opposed to first century. Or the early church that gave us the 7 deadly sins, which really are based in Scripture as well. So, I guess I got a question for you. It has a little bit it has a whole lot to do with character, I would say. If Jesus were here today, let's see, he incarnated into the world in 2025, and suddenly it's announced and we see him, and maybe he even uses social media. St. Paul used a lot of media in a sense in his time, certainly writing and communicating the way he could, but with the rich social media opportunities we have today, what would Jesus tell us to do? What would Jesus do, and what would he say for us to do? How would we follow in his footsteps, which is quite different from 2,000 years ago when he lived among us. Who do you think Jesus would tell us to vote for? Would Jesus say, I want you to vote for independence? Or would he even be concerned about Democrats and Republicans? Would he say to vote for Donald Trump? Who would he say that we should vote for? And can you find anything in Scripture, if you were to look into the Bible, would there be any indication about who Jesus would vote for? Well, first off, just an FYI, voting wasn't available to anyone during the time of Jesus. They didn't vote in first century Galilee or Judea, where he was. But I would find, if that were available, or he were here with us today, he would have a tough time endorsing a lot of the things that's going on politically among the politicians who are in charge. I think he'd have a real difficult time endorsing any of it. It's kind of a silly question, but I just thought I'd ask it. But would Jesus be pleased with President Trump? Would he be pleased with Democrats and Republicans? Well, let's just ask this. Would Jesus be happy that Roe v. Wade was repealed or not? I mean, you think that would be a gimme question, right? An easy answer. Would Jesus be happy with the fact that child sex trafficking is being focused on? The concern for that in the current government? Well, honestly, neither of those things is true, because I would say that Trump's actual approach to abortion and to child sex trafficking aren't really part of any, in my opinion, sincere attempt to actually mitigate those two major issues. And they are very serious issues right now. But I think they're more tokens of propaganda. Because we're living in a time of a culture war, are we not? A culture war. So if, let's say, MAGA, for example, were concerned about reducing the rate at which women seek abortions, right? Then they would probably, I would say, number one, want to begin with comprehensive sex education and also contraception and education about all of that. They would probably be very focused, if they were concerned about abortion, women's health care. And to me, that would more efficiently and effectively reduce the rate of abortion in our country or really anywhere. So that's one thought. Welcome to Tim. Good to see you. Why would we vote for anymore or anyone? Sorry, I didn't read that right. Yeah, I think it's important to realize that we have, in terms of our political, we exercise our political influence. That's a major gift from our Constitution, our freedom to vote, and the 27 amendments that we find in there is the freedom and the right to vote. And women had to work hard to get their right to vote, as did people of color. So it's a way of exercising a statement of what we believe in and how we hope our elected officials who represent us would be willing to listen to us as we speak to them, since they do represent us. So I think it's very important. And in a sense, what I'm really doing is just drawing a parallel between, is there any parallel between the gospel and what was occurring at the time that Jesus lived 2,000 years ago and what's happening today? And I would say there most definitely is, but the times were different, of course, as I've tried to point out. So anyway, and then the other thing, if one was to criminalize abortion as it has been, is right now, will that lead to more death in back alley hacks, people that are in desperate situations and they don't have access anymore to legal abortion? Will that lead to more death? So does it become pro-life or more pro-death? It's an important question to ask. Many people turn to dangerous, even self-inducing, desperate measures to induce a miscarriage, and sometimes results in the death of the mother. Now, I know these are heavyweight questions. You thought I was just going to come on and shoot the shit and play music. Well, sometimes I get a little bit serious. But these are the issues that are very, very real for many people, for many men and women who are trying to deal with the reality that maybe they're not going to be able to properly care for a child. Well, what would have come in handy was comprehensive sex education and contraceptive options for them. And we can't just assume that everyone knows all of this, and especially among the very young people among us. So I think we need to work on all those parts of it, I would say. And, another issue might be just children born in poverty. We have a higher poverty rate than one would like to think in the richest country in the world. The United States has a great deal of poverty. 1 in 5 children don't have, they're food poor, don't have enough to eat at various times. And unfortunately, Trump is eliminating health care in his big, beautiful bill. So that's a concern, isn't it? Okay, good night, Pebbles. Good to see you. Real good to see you. And the other thing, if we ask ourselves if something is pro-life, if the gospel was pro-life, and I would say that it most certainly would seem to be pro-life to me, Jesus was always defending the poor and the disenfranchised and the vulnerable, always defending them, then we would probably want to try to do the same as he did. And deporting people, women with young children, back into a dangerous foreign place they were trying to escape from might not be very pro-life at all. Those actions are more pro-death, I would say. So anyway, I decided to ask the question, if Jesus were to reappear among us today, and of course we're not expecting that to happen, the historical Jesus to return, but he is, in a sense, with his Holy Spirit. That's the Spirit of Jesus. The indwelling Holy Spirit is Jesus' Spirit among us. And we find that Spirit trying to speak through us when we listen, as Abraham Lincoln said, to the angels of our better nature, right? That spirit is indwelling with each one of us, rather than having a selfish response or knee-jerk reaction. We might think about somebody other than ourselves and be concerned about those who are vulnerable and their life is at risk. Okay? So, well, it's the all-time bestseller. It's a very important book to Christians. Would encompass about 1/3 of the people on the planet. So, Tim, I think it's obviously, we even consider ourselves a nation that is, I would say, percentage-wise, primarily Christian. The nation isn't a declared Christian nation, but it's certainly filled with a great number of Christians, and then also people of other faith, many different faiths. So I think it's, and we have a sacred book, and many of them do as well. Hinduism, Buddhism, they have sacred writings, Judaism, obviously. So I think it's very important that book be considered. A lot of people, I remember a story of a Jewish person who was very young, went to the rabbi and realized there were 613 laws in the Torah, and how am I going to remember them all, much less follow them all? And the rabbi said, because it was so overwhelming, kind of like your point, there's so much, reading all those pages. Well, he said, start with one. Start with one law of the 613. Learn one law at a time. And of course, the 10 of the most important laws are the 10 commandments. So we have that would be, I would say, a primary place of focus rather than a lot of the obscure, what we might consider less important laws. Certainly there are 10 that were considered commands. They weren't optional. So very, very important to most people, I would say. Yeah. Well, I don't think we can pat ourselves on the back since things aren't going well enough to do that. As long as people on this planet are dying, and many at the rate they are, that would seem rather self-ingratiating. I think there's more serious matters in front of us, and which have to do with life and death. Since U.S. aid was stopped, that program by DOGE, USAID, there's literally hundreds of thousands of lives that have been lost because many of the things that USAID provided are no longer being provided. So we can't pat ourselves on the back at all. I think that we have to be far more serious than that. Anyway, so this is a very challenging time in our country. Our leaders have to have a moral compass. I think they have to have a vision. I certainly think even President Jimmy Carter, after his term in president and in retirement, showed us what his true colors were, and he worked in Habitat for Humanity, and he spent time serving the poor, working in food banks, clothing banks, trying to help people who were suffering, and such a beautiful, simple, and loving, compassionate life he and his wife lived, and they're role models. So I don't think if we do what they're doing, maybe pat yourself on the back. But I think that, at least I speak for myself, I've got a long way to go to become a better human being. So I think that's real important. Things have changed all the time. I think it just depends upon us. We have to make this world a better place. It's not going to happen by osmosis. If you want a better world, then we have to create a better world. Everything rests upon what we do. We have copious amounts of human freedom, right? Don't we? We're all free. We can create hell on earth or heaven. It's up to us. So we can't just sit back and hope for the best or put our heads in the sand. We have to actually take on the responsibility, and that's being an adult and being a morally responsible adult. Yeah, Jimmy Carter and Rosalind, amazing human beings, great examples to all of us. So, the whole issue about children, sex trafficking, abortion, those are all very important issues. There are different ways of going about to try to reduce the amount of all of those things which are truly against human life and are so oppressive to even a child's future when they have been abused in the ways that they have. We have to do everything and anything we possibly can to mitigate that and reduce that so that hopefully it will no longer exist in society. But I'm afraid that a lot of the policies that we have right now are making things worse. At least that's my personal belief. Yeah, nobody's trying to ignore anything. That's why I'm talking about it. We have to speak about it. If people don't understand what's going on, you can't really address the problem if we're blind to what's going on. We have to understand, and we have to not be afraid to talk about it. So, right-wing authoritarianism, is that what's going on today? I would say it looks that way. It looks like it's becoming increasingly more like that when you call out the military, which is unheard of. A lot of the military are very much concerned about what's happening right now into our cities, and the Marine Corps, the Marines being called in. Certainly it doesn't seem like none of that was necessary at all. Might have incited it to make it worse. I don't know if that was the purpose, but not helpful at all. States' rights being very important to most people. Let these states try to resolve their own issues. This was not a major problem. As I recall, back in the 60s when Detroit was burning and Los Angeles and Watts, much bigger problems were going on, and they did need to bring in the National Guard at that point. So I don't think Jesus would vote for an unrepentant rapist or a serial sexual predator with 34 felonies. I don't believe that he would, if he by vote, let's just say be supportive of or endorse. A business failure, 6 times having his businesses go bankrupt, and an all-around nasty, revengeful behavior from that guy. I don't think that. Now, this is my channel. This is my live stream, and that's how I feel. I'm not going to sugarcoat it anymore. Everyone else has their beliefs. You can speak how you wish, and if you don't like it, you don't have to be here. I'm just inviting you to thought. And if you have different thoughts, different from my own, and you want to express those, you might have to do that on your own channel. So I'm just letting you know that. But I think that deporting people with children that are innocent, that's why I played that song. These are the ages of the children, as innocent as that. They've done nothing to deserve the life that they're in. Things went wrong in their native country, in their home country, and things are going wrong in the refuge that they're seeking. And we have to help prevent that and prevent trafficking as well. So I would say Jesus actually confronts people people trying to leverage with public displays. And you read about Jesus saying, don't think very highly of these Pharisees who were speaking loudly in the temple and praying prayers just to have people see them. They're putting on a show. That's essentially what Jesus said in the gospel. And we see the same thing happen sometimes in our public display. They're full of words, full of trying to explain what's going wrong, when in fact they themselves are probably the bigger part of the problem. They're putting on a show for the rest of us to see. And many people, unfortunately, have bought into that. But Jesus is trying to tell us, there's no approval in trying to make yourself great. How often do we hear him say, the biggest crowd, this has never been done before, and it's just a textbook for narcissism. Forever speaking of his personal greatness, and every one of us has seen it. There's no denying that. But anyway, Jesus warned us against such people, and they were all about their own personal interests. And that's a road to destruction, not just for that person, but for anyone in a position of power who leads with their own self-interest, financial and ingratiating themselves with ego and power. Not a good very deadly combination, actually. But anyway, I think the Jesus of the gospel would see right through the hypocrisy of the present administration. He'd see right through it, right? I think that Jesus, if you read the gospel closely, he always preferred the left, which is against the grain of ordinary thinking, conventional thinking. He didn't go with the power brokers. He didn't go with the people who were the Sanhedrin, who were in a position of authority. He didn't go with them. He preferred the downward truth of the poor and the humble. You need look no further, as I say, Matthew chapter 25, verse 34 and following. That would be the perfect example, really, I would say, of that. Your thoughts aren't overwhelming. They're probably a little underwhelming. I think that, sort of being so cavalier, we have to be focused, and we have to be willing not to give up. We have to be willing to try to do something about the problems. Instead of being a critic, try to be someone who is optimistic about trying to fix things, one person at a time, if necessary. Well, I've been talking about the whole thing. I don't know if you've been listening to him. Do you think Jesus would put up with this? I've just been going through all the problems Jesus would have with it. I'm not going to repeat it. I've already done that. I don't know if you've been listening at all. Doesn't sound like it. So anyway, that's one opening thought about the present situation we're dealing with. I have a lot of ideas of what I think we could do differently. We need, number one, we need to train people in school, especially. I think we need to start with the new young leaders need to be raised up and trained up in virtue and develop character. And those are the people I would love to see in place in positions of power and influence politically. I think that would be the place to start. That's just my personal opinion. Okay? And I think character is lacking. I think we have shell of people, empty character. We have an absence of it, emptiness. There just doesn't seem to be much character at all, except self-interest. It's all about what somebody can get in their meme coins, and how much they can ingratiate themselves and build their empire. So it's not about $4 million or $40 million airplanes. It should be about what we can do for the poor. I'm just saying I would love to hear from a political leader. I don't care which side of the aisle it's on. I would love to hear them say what Jesus says, and that is, what are we doing for the poor? What are we doing for the homeless? What are we doing for the veterans who are sick and who are have difficulty finding the health care they need? What are we doing for them? What are we doing for people who have disabilities? What are we doing for the elderly? The same thing I mentioned earlier with Hubert Humphrey mentioned, people at the beginning of life and the end of life, and those who are disabled in the middle of life, who have personal struggles. What are we doing for all of them? That's where I think, those are the questions, and I have not heard that. I have not heard from Donald Trump a concern for the poor. I don't think you have either, because I don't believe he's ever expressed that. His concern for those who are homeless, his concern for veterans, his concern for any of that. Where is that? Where is that? I don't see it at all. So anyway, I'm just saying at the beginning, I think we have to raise up young people who have character, who have virtue, who have a moral compass, who have a capacity to reflect in a focus of the future bigger than their own ambition, and one that would encompass helping all people, right? Then we could put those people in place and they would do the right thing, I would hope. I think there's a real shortage of people with character. I mean, if someone is perving on undressed naked teenage girls at the Miss Teen and USA, and we know who did that, I don't think that is an example of good character, right? I don't. Or being civilly liable for raping a woman by the name of Jane Carroll, I don't think that's good character. or saying back in the 1990s, black people are lazy. I don't think that's good character. I mean, I could go on and on, all kinds of things. I don't think that's good character. Well, you're not listening, Tim. If you see a cure, it's one that you have to participate in. The cure comes from everybody getting involved. And the first thing I think in involvement is we have to learn. And as adults, we have to raise up young people who will be the next generation of political leaders. I don't want a new generation like the old generation. I don't know if you do, but I don't want a new generation that would be much like the one that we're dealing with right now, who are all concerned about preserving their own, first of all, position of authority, whatever that might be, in Congress, in some appointed office, whatever it might be. And that's the major concern. And they're willing to compromise anything, sycophants do, to maintain that control and those influence and that money and that authority. That's not character. That's not virtue. That's the opposite of it. So we need to raise up a whole other generation of people who won't compromise themselves. That's what I'm suggesting. So it really begins, maybe we need to have a whole different set of curriculum in school that talks about virtue. It talks about the education of conflict resolution is peaceful and not violent. This is a very violent world. We're willing to settle things in a violent way, and that just isn't acceptable. We're willing to violently discard people, send them back home, send them to gulags in El Salvador. We're willing to throw people away. We're willing to let our poor remain on the street. Those drug addicted, those veterans that are homeless, we're willing to let the poor go without food stamps. Those are health care is being cut back. This big, beautiful bill isn't beautiful at all. So I'm just saying, I think the number one thing I do not see in our political climate right now, today, in 2025, is character. I don't see it. And I don't think you guys see it either. So that is my initial thought. I generally don't even speak about politics, but I'm at the point, kind of like Evelyn is, where, speak up now or forever hold your peace. I think we're living in dangerous times. I'm counting on change at the midterms. I'm truly hopeful because all the polls seem to indicate it, that there is a change in people's awareness and the people's view and opinions of what's going on right now. And it's not favorable toward the present administration. And the winds of change are afoot. And I think that we're going to see a different outcome. And I think that we desperately need to see a different outcome. And I'm not saying the Democratic Party is going to be the Hallelujah Party either. But we have to make a change somewhere for the better. And it has to be better than what we're dealing with now. We haven't solved the war. We haven't built the wall. Mexico didn't pay for it. We have a new war starting between Israel and Iran. And I don't think that we would have that war if Kamala Harris had been elected president. I personally just don't believe that. I don't think that would have happened. I think that there would have been, and also we wouldn't have taken apart the treaty we already have, which prevented Iran, and they were willing to go along with that to be nuclear proliferated. And unfortunately now everything's off the table, and they're shooting missiles at each other. So that's not a good look for the present administration either. So anyway, that's my thought. I think we need a change. We need serious change, and I'm hoping and praying that we'll get that soon. Okay. What else do we want to talk about? I was wondering whether I should just do this as a video because a lot of people aren't interested in talking about politics, and I get that. That's perfectly fine. If they, we're not drawing a big audience here. If we were talking about gossip and what so-and-so played back from a phone conversation that was aired publicly, we'd have 15 or 20 people, but because we're talking about something serious, we get one or two people. And that's the way of people. It's unfortunate. And we're talking about adults. We're talking about adults. So anyway, we're 148 days, I think, is it? I think into the administration right now. I believe we're 148 days. Back to 30 days, I did a video 30 days in of the assessment as I saw it 30 days into the present administration. Now we're 148 days. We're going on 5 months. And, well, there's a lot to be said, waste, fraud, and abuse. It's ironic that, Elon Musk has, promised us $2 billion that we'd save, and then $1 billion, and then $150 billion, and half of that it was verified. So it wasn't much fraud or abuse or waste really at all that they found. Very little. But when you have somewhere between $45 and $60 million spent for a parade on Saturday, I'm not sure that you could probably say that was rather wasteful. Very few people even showed up for it. Just a big birthday party bash nobody was interested in, or very few people were interested in. So I'm concerned about the tariffs, which seem to be having a profoundly negative impact upon the economy, people's 401ks, right? The big, beautiful bill, that's going to create a lot of problems for the poor especially, but not for the upper 5%. They'll be doing even better. Migrant deportations without due process, that's an insult and an injury really to our Constitution and lawful way of life without due process. Did Obama and Biden, did they allow due process? Because actually Obama deported far more people than Trump's deported. If you look at the actual numbers, look that up and you'll see. Obama was known as the deportation president, but everybody he deported, and Biden as well, they allowed due process. That's following our laws and Constitution. Unfortunately, that's not being done today, and that's a major problem. So they were entitled to due process and got that under U.S. immigration law. So, and basically that means you have a right to a hearing before a judge, immigration judge, and you have a right to an attorney. And you can even bring witnesses if you wish. And you can appeal if things don't turn out the way they are. And once that process is exhausted, then the law will decide whether you can stay or go. But many people left and were deported, but they were given that due process basics, and that's according to our Constitution. I don't want to discard our Constitution. I think it's very important that we, continue to focus on it. So anyway, boy, there's so much to be said. But like I say, 148 days, the record of failure to me and the administration is shocking, right? Trump has alienated Europe, Japan, Mexico, who else? Canada, Greenland, who's that? Is that Belgium or? So you've got these nations that are being, the pressure is being put on them. Canada doesn't want to become a U.S. state, and the Panama Canal, I forgot about that. The whole relationship, the bromance between Trump and Vladimir Putin, and also Kim Jong-un, that to me is worrisome. And then the alienating of NATO, our true friends who fought beside us and shed blood and people died on the battlefield in both World Wars I and II, and that's NATO and those nations, and they are our friends and have been since this nation. We joined with them to fight fascism, which was Hitler. My dad fought in World War II. He was in the Battle of the Bulge, and he was in Antifa. My dad was Antifa. uh, meaning he's against fascism. Anti is against the fa part. Anti-fa is fascism. And Nazi Germany and Adolf Hitler was a fascist. Yeah, that's where Antifa first had its beginning with the United States Army. Just a little FYI history there, you know. But when they brought in Elon Musk to hoist up that chainsaw, you know, and commit mayhem against government agencies, and that was saving human life, not just our own, but yes, here and also around the world. That was a tragedy and a travesty, I would say, as well, right? So anyway, I think we're, as of April, there was 140,000 people, if I remember, that were deported through ICE. 200 of those people went to the Salvadoran Gulag. None of them had due process. You know, of course, the idea is, well, that will cost money, but then, you know, it's very costly not to have the constitutional way of life, too. So what price do you want to pay? Throw out the Constitution or give people an opportunity for due process? To me, it shouldn't even be a choice. We know the correct answer. And the tariffs are destabilizing the whole global economy, right? I mean, everybody would agree to that. And your prices are going up. Just keep your eye on everything, from food to automobiles. If you try to buy a new car today or a new truck, you'll be sticker shock. It'll be horrible. You won't like it. Everything's going up, right? And also, you know, a war of intimidation against academia, scholarly play like Harvard, Columbia University. What's the point of that? Because they don't go along with Trump's viewpoint, right? I'm sorry, but you know, nobody is obligated to agree with any other human being on this earth. We all have our freedom to believe what we choose to believe, and we shouldn't have to face the consequences of being gone after with presidential power. That's the mark, I would say, the earmarks of a authoritarian regime. So anyway, just some thoughts. I was really upset and angry at what happened when Zelensky came to the White House, the Ukrainian president. He met with Trump and some others, and how he was treated. I thought that was just horrible and insulted as well. You know, why aren't you wearing a suit? Well, you know, the tradition in Ukraine is when you're in war, in a time of war, because Russia attacked them and has been fighting with them for 3 years, you know, it's not business as usual. He was wearing the uniform that would be worn by a political leader in Ukraine during a time of war. It's because the vice president wasn't bright enough to figure that out. Why insult someone, you know? But that's the type of stuff that goes on. Just very concerned about it. There are some signs of opposition to Trump, and different politicians finding their wheels. Cory Booker, Chris Murphy, of course AOC, right? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Bernie Sanders always out there, one of the clearest voices of dissent on Capitol Hill, right? And some Republicans, and that's a growing list of people now, realize how unhinged the wheels have come off of the Trump regime. Lisa Murkowski, who's the one up in Maine, the senator in Maine. But there are more now that are being added to that. So things are beginning to shift. But there is a threat of retaliation, right? There's no joke about that. People are afraid, and sending a message, you know, to take care of business, and then you have in Minnesota 2 people are murdered and 2 others attempted murder. That's what happens when you rule with authoritarian violence, as Trump is doing. And those are my beliefs. You don't have to believe them, but I think it's more a matter of fact. So anyway, it's not business as usual. Things are very difficult. I wouldn't normally speak out a great deal about politics, but I've kind of come to the end of my rope on this. So I'm just letting stuff out. I've got a lot more I could say, but this is just opening comments, I guess. Well, yeah, I mean, it's my channel, so I've decided to go political, maybe for the very first time, and speak out. you know? If it was Biden doing the same things that Trump is doing, I'd be as angry and vehemently opposed to Biden doing it. It doesn't matter who's doing it. I always say, don't take a side, Republican or Democrat. Don't pick a side. Take a stand. Take a stand for human decency and respect. You know, I mean, it's not. And by the way, it's not a battle, in my opinion, between Republicans and Democrats. Don't be fooled. It's that they'd like you to think it is, in my opinion. I think that's what they'd like to see it. But what really is going on is rich and poor. It's north and south. It's not Republicans left or right. It's up and down. It's the wealthy and the powerful and the poor and increasingly poor middle class as we see things changing that way. All of the demographics, all of the financial statistics bear that out. There's a bigger wage gap, a bigger financial gap between rich and poor than there's ever been. This is the new Gilded Age, in a sense. So that's where I think the real battle is going on. We've got some billionaires that seem to have found their moral compass. Bill Gates, we're challenging what's going on and challenging Elon Musk. And you have, the Oracle of Omaha. You have some of these people that are giving away their vast fortune. And Gates has been trying to help people who are dying of largely avoidable causes, medical problems in Africa, like AIDS and other diseases, with vaccinations and so on. And that's what I would say. The people, Scripture says, if you've been given much, much is expected of you. If you've been given less, less is expected. They have been given much, and much is expected of them. So some of them are coming through on that, and many of them are not. So I think that we just have to realize, that it really isn't our people who are Republicans, middle class Republicans, middle class and lower class Democrats. We're not. It does no good whatsoever. We're not the problem. If we're fighting against each other and we see each other as the enemy, we've been fooled. We've been duped. That isn't where the battle is. The war is going on between those on top and those on the bottom, between those who have and those who don't, between those who are extremely wealthy and powerful and those who simply want to unionize and have a safe working environment and want to earn a livable wage. And there are others that prefer to have more than they need, and they're willing to. It was interesting. I learned about Amazon.com. Of course, a lot of its parent company here in Seattle, where I am. If you went into an Amazon warehouse, instead of finding vending machines like for snack foods and whatnot, you'll find vending machines, all right, but they're filled with pain medication. And the vending machines at Amazon are meant to dispense medication because of the working conditions that are so bad for your health. Repetitive activity with your arms and your legs and standing hours and hours and hours. And that is causing a lot of health issues for people who are working at Amazon. So they dispense pain medication. That speaks for itself. But those who want to have more, there's an old saying in Latin, I can't remember it. Let's see. Verbum sapiensi, quo plus habent, eo plus cupient, which simply means the more they have, the more they want. Quo plus habent, the more they have, eo plus cupient, the more they want. I had to learn Latin in school. But yeah, that seems to be the way it is. And people are addicted to materialism, to wealth, and they never have enough. They never have enough. So anyway, that's just some thoughts. I'm not going to go on too much longer. Dolly, did you want a link? You want to come up? I don't know if anybody else wants a link. If anybody wanted to come up and throw out some alternative views, that's perfectly fine. But you're going to have to do it with facts, or I'm not going to give you any time up here. You're going to have facts. I'm not interested in a shouting match. I'm interested in something more adult-like, where we actually have something to back up our comments. Then I welcome it. I've seen plenty of shouting matches. And people aren't right because they're loud. They're just loud. Not right at all. All right, let me send you, I'll drop it in, let's see, 1 second here. It's a video call, copy link. Okay, I'll drop it in the Discord for you. And okay, Dolly, I just dropped it in the Discord, so you can get it there. Well, you know, Tim, what they say about opinions and assholes, but you know, and that's not an insult of you. I'm just saying opinions are one thing, facts are another, and there's only one set of facts. Interpretation of facts are many, yes. And that might be the opinions that you're suggesting. But I do think it's important for us to get a hold of the right facts. Many people are trying to tell us what isn't factual is factual. And I'm just personally fed up with that. I'm not going to put up with that anymore. So anyway, Dolly, I'm putting your audio on. So whenever you jump on.
I'm here, I think.
Okay.
Pretty sure I am.
Yeah, I think they can hear you.
Well, I don't want to disappoint Tim, but maybe he just doesn't know. I do have my political beliefs. I just do not, and my own opinions. I just don't state them like Stellar does, or like Evelyn does, or everybody else who has all that passion and all that love and all that what they want and what they really believe and what they really truly strive for. I don't have the balls to do it. That was kind of blunt, wasn't it? I'm sorry. That was really blunt. I'm sorry.
Well, you better not have balls. You're a woman.
It would not work out well for us, would it? But, and you know, I love to hear other people's opinions. I really do. If they're I love to listen to other people, and I will digest or try to digest what they're trying to tell me or what they're trying to say. Unfortunately, I get all flustered when I try to say something. Okay, I can tell you one thing, because I can tell that I know this from experience. The medical for the veterans, for the people who are ill, are being cut drastically.
That's right.
To these men and women who served our country so faithfully and so proudly, and where they are basically wounded warriors. And in my family, we are very lucky because we had the means to make sure that our wounded warrior is taken care of. But most people don't have that. Most people do not have that safety line out there for them to hold on to so they don't fall, so they don't hit the ground, because they don't deserve that. And that really upsets me. And when you take away, not across the board, but when you take away a lot of the funding for, let's say, palliative or hospice care, what the hell are you supposed to do? You know, like they put the Eskimo person out on the iceberg or whatever and just let them drift off to die. You know, I don't want that. I don't want that for myself. I don't want it for anybody else.
Well, if we claim to be living in a humane society, that shouldn't even be an option. And yet we're beginning to ask ourselves, is that what they expect of us? What are the poor to do when they... when people don't have health care, and there's a lot of people who don't, or they don't have enough health care or good health care, and they're afraid to get out of their car and they're in the parking lot of the emergency room of a hospital, and they're afraid to go in that damn door because they know it's going to be financially a big hit, or they might even be turned down for treatment. There's something wrong in the country. In a very wealthy country. When many countries around the world, which are not nearly as wealthy as ours, Canada is a good example, where they all have health care, good health care, access to it. No one's left out.
When it's personal, it's personal. And I guess I wish I could say it. Freedom of speech does not come without consequences. I could say whatever I want to say on here, but I could be blocked. I could be kicked off. Stella could never talk to me again. I could be in trouble because there are consequences of whatever I say. I could say there are consequences. We do have that freedom of speech. But that doesn't mean that you don't have consequences with it. Can't scream fire in the theater. There are consequences to that.
I got to answer a question Tim's asking. I don't know.
Okay.
But no, continue on. Just let me answer this. Name one time that healthcare has ever helped anyone. I don't know if you're serious tonight or what you're trying. Are you trolling? I mean, I'll give you one example. Comes to mind. A family, close friends of mine, their son had Ewing sarcoma, and that's generally a death sentence. Ewing sarcoma used to be I think it was 30% survival rate, and now it's 80% because of research, medical research. He got that health care and benefited from that research and saved his life because of health care. That helped him. I was born with several birth defects. I received surgery the day I was born. I've had 8 surgeries. Healthcare has benefited me. Healthcare has saved lives. I don't know am I missing something in your question? Name one time healthcare has helped anyone? I just gave you some.
One time I gave birth to 4 beautiful children, and my life and their lives were never in danger, and I think that was the best medical care ever. And that's just one person, but I had it. I had really good medical care.
I mean, at the end of life, hospice, think of all the people that have been helped by hospice. That's a form of health care that eases people in the later stages of their life. At the very beginning of life, how many people have been helped by health care in giving birth to their children? And everything from tonsillitis to appendectomies to oral surgery. I mean, I just, maybe I'm missing something in your question. But name one time healthcare has helped anyone. I mean, to me, I don't see what that question, it doesn't make any sense. Healthcare
All
has been
of our
helping people.
cancer patients out there who have, 50 years ago would not really had a lot of chances in this life. They are striving. They're beautiful. They're healthy. They're thriving with their treatments that they get because of excellent health care that we get in America, or we got in America. Without research, how many people would not even be here today because the cancer wouldn't have been treatable? They wouldn't know how to treat it. Now they do. Well, they're learning. There's a lot to learn with medicine. It doesn't come overnight.
Now,
But you
Tim's
can't just
asking-
pause it.
Right. Okay, now Tim's asking another question, but I maybe it's starting to help me understand where it's coming from. I wish you'd just come right out and say it, because I think you have another thought in your mind about it that maybe you're just not willing to, or maybe you're not sure how to phrase it. I don't know. Maybe I got it. Maybe I got it wrong. But how did you qualify, or was it automatically? Well, in Canada, for example, everyone is covered by medical and dental. Everyone, 100%. Every single person is covered. It's automatic.
In my case, my husband and I were both employed, and we both have health insurance through our employer. So it was automatic.
Oh, Laura, welcome. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm
Hey,
not trying
Laura.
to, Tim, I'm not trying to come down on you, but you've, from the very beginning there, I just found you very confrontational. Talking about the Bible almost as if it's too cumbersome or too many pages, or who's going to read it and who's going to read all the pages. It really doesn't matter. That's exactly what you said. And I just found you kind of rough around the edges here tonight. And so, I've been a little bit tough on you getting back to you. So I kind of feel like I'm sorry I was that hard on you, but I don't know where you're coming from. And when you make questions about healthcare in the way that you did, I'm really struggling just to understand what you're really asking, or what you're saying, what your point is. How do you see all this failure? I mean, if you were to go to like St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, if you were to go there, you would see, you would have access to literally thousands of children whose lives have been saved. Thousands.
Without insurance.
Yeah, and it's not ending in failure; it's ending in life.
No.
So, I mean, I don't know how you missed that, or I'm not sure where you're coming from. I think there's something that you haven't told us, and if you don't want to, that's fine. But I suspect that there's something else percolating inside you that you're concerned about, maybe even upset about. I don't know for sure, but I hate to have to drag it out of you, because what you're saying is a real struggle. You say, I'm in California, it's different over here. Yeah, I think California was.
He was. I'm sorry, Stella. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think California was trying to provide some of its own health care, since Obamacare only goes so far. And there are people that fall through the cracks, even with Obamacare. Obamacare has helped millions. And if we didn't have it, there'd be a big, big gap in service to the poor. But there are some people who do not qualify for Obamacare. Well, Tim, if you can phrase it however you want, but I just get the feeling, and tell me I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That maybe there was something. I was in Canada for 8.5 years. I was in a missionary religious order in Canada, so pretty familiar with Canada. But
Tim, he was just using Canada as an example of healthcare. He's not saying that we're in Canada. I kind of know you. I think you knew that.
Well, you're doing more than
example.
Right. But Tim, and I appreciate you say a little rough on the edges or something, but you're listening. But you're not just listening. You're making comments, and I read every comment. I hope I do. I try to. If you have a comment you want to share, then by all means share it. And we'll read it, because if it's important enough to you to make a statement, then I'm absolutely 100% fine with reading it. But if it isn't something I can understand and I'm confused by, and I'm just asking you to clarify, if you're willing to do that. I mean, the whole thing about medical care, has there ever been an example of someone helped by Medicare? Holy cow, every family in this country, probably at some point, has been helped with health care from a doctor or a nurse or someone, even a school nurse. Someone has been helped. That's all medical care. I can't think of any exception. I'm sure everyone has. Maybe you don't see the people that didn't qualify. Well, I'm just pointing that out. There are people that fall through the cracks, and yes, I do see them. I don't know who they all are, but I know that they're there, and that should be a concern for all of us. That's why I said universal health care should be a given, as it is in Canada and Great Britain and France and many other countries. It should be a given. People shouldn't have to worry about if they can afford to see the doctor, or if they have to forego medicine because they can't afford it, but they're cold and they want heat, and they have to make a decision about heat or food or medicine. That shouldn't happen here in this wealthy country of ours, and I'm very sorry that it does happen. So when you mention maybe you don't see the people that don't qualify, I absolutely do, and that's why I'm ranting the way I am. Because that should not be. Those people should not be put in that position. Not in this country. Lady Scrapper says, I've only ever had the medical coverage through my employer. Yeah, me too, up here, or down here. I work for the same company. Yeah, 28 years now. I'm on Medicare, which I've been on for 13 years, yeah.
What's the misinformation, Tim?
What?
What's the misinformation?
Yeah, what misinformation are you talking about?
And I'm not being mean. I just want to know what the misinformation was. I want to know what either I said wrong or Stella said wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you're just being very, unclear.
I'm willing to listen.
Well, you don't know what we've lived, Tim, and we don't know what you've lived because you're not willing to speak out. Tell us what your concern is. I mean, it's like a big mystery. We're trying to, you're getting all the attention here tonight. If you want to share something, please, by all means, do that. Please. But don't speak in riddles because we can't figure that out. Now you're saying there's misinformation. As Dolly was saying, what misinformation are you hearing? Oh, Jake, welcome. Good to see you. Glad you're here.
Way to rub it in, Jake.
Yeah, I know. I was hoping not to. I should have said, if Jake shows up, I'm going offline. There's a couple more games coming up, Jake, so we'll see what happens. They had great pitching tonight, that's for sure. Yeah, and Tim, I said the very same thing. People fall through the cracks. People
they do.
I gave an example of people who they're very sick. They drive themselves to the hospital emergency room, and they're too freaking afraid to go inside because of the cost. There's something seriously wrong. Now, I don't know what misinformation came from me saying that or anything even like it, or from Dolly. I think we're speaking the same thing you're talking about if you're hearing it.
I believe so.
Oh, that's okay, Jake. Don't worry about it. It's a long season. The Sox are, they got about the same record the Mariners have. They're pretty similar. Well, we traded Randy Johnson back when he was 6'10" and full of strikeouts to Arizona. So talk about crazy trades. That was a while ago. Tim, if you could just kind of come out and say what you want to say, but I feel like you're kind of chippy, like you're coming at us tonight, or at least me, probably. And I don't know what I've said wrong. I don't think I've said anything wrong. The things that you're dropping now are pretty much the things I've been saying tonight. If you play it back, I think you'll be able to verify that. Truth be told, we're probably on the very same page. I don't know what you're going through in your life, but we don't know. You don't know what I'm going through. None of us does. We have to, if we choose to, we can share that. But I just know that many people in this country are not getting the health care they deserve, and that's wrong. They're not getting it, and even more are going to be with this big horrible bill that's going to be passed, or they look like it's going to be. That's going to knock a lot more people off of health care and insurance. No, you're fine, Jake. Don't worry about it.
Scrapper, I agree with you about that. When I'm ill, I will go to the hospital, and my bill, that's not the first thing I think about is my bill, or if I have to go to the ER or whatever. But that's because I'm not billed that day. But if I went to the pharmacy and I needed to pick up my drugs and I didn't have the money for it, that's when I think the pharmacy to me is the biggest deal because you have to pay for that up front. And
Right.
if the drug is, $85 and I don't have it, I don't have it. I mean, what can I do? Seriously. Again, I'm lucky. I have children that would not let me go without too much. I mean, if I ask them, of course they'll help me. I mean, I don't ask because I'm their mom and they should ask me for help. But I do have that safety net because I do have a family, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people do not have family out there that can help them when they're in trouble medically.
Yeah, look what Jake wrote. That's right, Jake.
What
I
did he
feel
say?
that's if Trump loved America, he'd be taking care of America's poor and weakest, not the greedy richest. Yeah, we saw a whole billionaire row of people at the inauguration. I think that spoke for itself. And Jake is from New Zealand, and the people all around the world can see it.
Well, what did he say that was a lie? What did Stella or I say that was a lie?
Well, let me read what Tim said.
Okay.
I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but if I repeat something, that that is a lie. Who's going to call out the lie? Well, if you're talking about yourself, if you're repeating something, if you repeat something, that's a lie. Well, we have to be in good control of the facts. If we know better, and we can say, hey, that's not true what you're saying. I had said that earlier when I first started. There's only one set of facts. There's not two. Uh, you know, Dolly's facts and my facts. If they're not the same, there's only one set of facts. We have to find out what they are, and then we have to understand. We might have opinions of what they mean. But there's only one set of facts. I mean, that
That
means
is
what
true.
happened. So, if someone's saying things that isn't factual, then if we know it's not factual, I would say, Tim, that we should call that out. You should call it out if you hear it and you can prove it's not true, it's a lie, and so should I. But again, when you throw out comments like that, one thinks, well, you have something in mind. Is it something you heard tonight, or something that you've heard today in the news, or something you heard some other time, and you think it was a lie and you want to call it out? See, there's just so much in what you're saying. I'm not sure what you're specifically referring to, and we're just trying to get to that if we could. Yeah, Jake, I know you do over there. You try to, and and it's a tough thing. I always say, don't stand in solidarity with any person. Stand in solidarity with the truth. Don't take a side. Take a stand. Even if it's against your friends. A lot of people disagree with me on that. I've taken a side and made enemies of people. Well, you know what? If I'm a real friend, I'm going to challenge my friend to be better people, and my friend should do the same for me.
Hey, Black Eagle. Good to see you.
Yeah, hello, Black Eagle. All right, Tim, thanks. Yeah. Evelyn says that this information is an epidemic. It's absolutely causing so much havoc. Yeah, it really is. I'm not an expert in politics, but at all. But I've become very interested in politics because it affects so many people in this world, and people. My background is theology, and my background is ministry, because that has been what I did for most of my adult life. And I'm very concerned about Christian nationalism. That sort of thing happened during Nazi Germany's fascist regime with Hitler, where oppression of people comes wrapped up in a flag carried with a cross. And, I just see a very different, Trump's not a Messiah. Jesus was poor, Trump's rich. Jesus was meek, and Trump is boastful and powerful. Jesus lost his life, and Trump's obsessed with winning. Jesus went to Jerusalem. He didn't want to be a military king. He went to die a humble death, but Trump is, tempted like Jesus was by the devil, and he overcame the temptations. But Trump wants all the kingdoms of the world: Panama, Greenland, Canada, Gaza, where else? Mexico, maybe. It's so obvious this is not in line with Scripture. Well, Tim, during the time after World War II, this country, before, and we had a president by the name of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who gave us a New Deal, and people were very much impoverished, very tough times. We also got from that some checks and balances, insurance policy called Social Security. Social Security came during the time of FDR. Among unionization being promoted and fair labor practices. There are a lot of things that worked and that were improved historically. But it seems to me that right now we're going the opposite direction, and we have to be concerned about that. So I'd say FDR's election worked. That's why the only president was elected for 3 terms. Now, of course, the Constitution changed that, and 2 is the limit, but that's a popular president because he did things that were popular among the people. He helped the nation, especially the poor. He helped to rebuild the country, FDR, after the Depression. That would be my best example I can think of. Jake says every person should be given basic human needs, if housing, food, water, power, healthcare. Yeah, and if you want more, then work and save for it. The basics in life, either we're humane or we're not. I don't think when we die and we enter into eternal life or heaven, whichever word you choose to use, that there's any homeless there. I don't think there's any homeless up there, or wherever it is. I believe that the final end of the human person is what you're describing, Jake, where the basic needs, and don't forget love, that we're not going to be lonely. That's everyone counts. There's no rejects in that kingdom. And that kingdom we could begin to build even here and now, That's why Jesus broke through human history and lived among us for that very purpose. No person should go hungry or be homeless or cold. Yeah. Evelyn says Trump demonizes the vulnerable so he can convince people who follow him that they're victims and he's their savior. Yeah. And he's not going to rescue any of them. He's not going to rescue any of the poor. There's no real concern for that. I mentioned earlier, I have never heard Donald Trump say, I'm concerned about the homeless. I'm concerned about the elderly. I'm concerned about people without health care. I'm concerned about veterans on the street. I've never heard any of that. And that's what troubles me. That's a basic default position for compassion for society, and it seems to be missing in his modus operandi. It's not there. Jake says human greed that prevents every human from. Yeah, it really is. It's the old idea of the piece of pie. If somebody wants 3/4 of the pie, then The rest of it, the little bit that's left, is being shared with many people who will go hungry. Evelyn, did you want to come up, or Lady Scrapper, or Tim? If anybody wants to come up, you're welcome to come up. Just type in the side chat if you want a link. Trump put tariffs on every country so he can say every country came looking for a deal. Of course, every country will come and try to work out a new deal. That's logic, but he started that fire to look good. Many people would agree that his ego is involved. He wants people to come to him like a king and ask for favors, and that's really sad. There's a lot of waste, a great deal of waste, absolutely. Anyway, if anybody wants a link, just put it in side chat. Dolly, are you still there? I think we may have lost Dolly. Evelyn said, who said that it's about tariff? Because I can't see the comment, and I absolutely agree about ego being a part of it. Yeah, I think that's ego and power tripping. Wanting to be fawned over, wanting to be, people that come and kiss your ring, and there's too many sycophants already surrounding that man. No, I don't hear you, Dolly. I've just, I haven't touched anything, so I'm not sure why we don't hear you. I mean, I said earlier that the real battle isn't between Republicans and Democrats. We may be fighting amongst each other. We shouldn't. We should be working together, because the real battle being waged is between rich and poor. The powerful people, the upper 5%, the power brokers, and those of us, the rest of us, the vast majority, 95%. That's where the real war is being waged. Evelyn says, no, Doge fired how many veterans? Yeah, they did. Fired and then being demonized as being deadbeats. Yeah, and they never really found that. It's just amazing to me. And even Elon Musk, in a moment of honesty, came out and talked about that he was shocked there wasn't the waste and fraud at all. In fact, where is the fraud? Where is the waste? It certainly was almost non-existent. They kept saying with Social Security, these people that are 115 and 120 years old were sending money probably to their families. Well, they weren't. Those people were on the books, but they were not being sent money. And that was proven as well. It's just, unbelievable, the bad and misinformation that was sent out. But you remember those old WWJD bracelets? What would JD Jesus do? What would Jesus do? What would he do today if he broke through human history and walked among us in the situation that we're dealing with in this country? What would Jesus do? Right? Well, what would Jesus do about a tax system that benefits the rich over the poor? Because that's our America. And what would Jesus do about a healthcare system that forces sick people to start a GoFundMe if they have to afford life-saving surgery? Right? What would Jesus do about that? Or those who fall between the cracks have no affordable health care at all. What would Jesus do? And what would Jesus do about an educational system that ties a child's school funding to the community's property wealth? What would Jesus do about college education that's so doggone expensive today? It leaves young Americans indebted for decades. And what would Jesus do about a nation the vast majority of our younger generation, they can't even afford to buy a house. What would Jesus do about that? What would Jesus do about a justice system that incarcerates more people than any other country on the face of the earth? That's the United States of America, our country. What would Jesus do about a job market that doesn't pay a living wage? What would Jesus do about an economic system that values profit over the health of our doggone planet? That we're going to somehow pass that on to our children and their children. What would Jesus do? In his day, he flipped over the tables of injustice in the temple, didn't he? And to be honest, I don't think Jesus would endorse Democrats over Republicans at all. I don't think that, to be honest with you. I think the historical Jesus, if he came into human history today, I think that he'd challenge America to keep working, to be the land of a safe haven, a place for those needing help. He would rely on us being compassionate because he knows that the Holy Spirit that indwells in all of us is the spirit of compassion. That's what I think. And that's what's made us a great nation. That's why we have the Statue of Liberty. And what Emma Lazarus scrawled on that Statue of Liberty, welcoming the poor of the world. That's what makes America great. When is enough, right? For the rich. When have they got enough? There's never enough, right? No spending limits on compassion, If there's no more need, and when Jesus said the poor will always be with you. But until that point, we have to take care of people. We have to. And in fact, I would say if you read chapter 25 of Matthew, the poor of this world stamp our ticket into heaven. To be perfectly honest with you, they stamp our wrist with the ink of those who are entering heaven. When I was hungry and you fed me, when I was thirsty, when you gave me refuge, when you visited me in prison, when did I do all that stuff for you, Jesus? Oh, well, when you did it for the poor crossing the border who had no home, running for their lives with their children. Was that you, Jesus? Yes, it was. So that sense you helped them enter into eternal life. But for those of you who didn't, we know what he had to say about that as well. Well, what proves things right, Tim, is history. And we have some history that has shown that compassion works better than violence. That opening a nation to immigrants built this country and made it the great country that it has been historically over the centuries. That's what proves it right. And when we turn away people, we turn away maybe a scientist a person who will grow up one day to be a scientist that will find a cure and maybe save our own family and from some disease, whatever it might be. We don't want to turn that away. We pay a high price when we do. Evelyn says, I've started to believe that MAGA truth and facts qualify as woke. Yeah, yeah. Well, I was woke. I think the first person that woke me was Jesus, and he was woke. We have to wake up to the reality that there's no rejects on this earth. Everyone is a child of God. Whether you've got white skin or brown skin or black skin, it doesn't matter. You're all part of God's kingdom. And there's no shithole countries in heaven. None. They don't exist. We truly do, and even in a selfish way, many people who now say, well, I wish I had never voted for Trump because those people have been rounded up and they were the ones that they worked for me in my roofing business. They were the ones who picked the strawberries in the fields in Washington State. They were the people that did this work that many people won't do. And now we don't have them. Well, Tim, give us the answer. No one's, you're free to speak here as anyone else is. And we're paying attention to what you have to say. Evelyn says, and they contribute far more than what they take. They most certainly do. And they pay taxes, they pay into Social Security, as everyone else does. And many of them never will get any of those returned. You know something else they do? The people who come here and work for minimum wage, they send back between 10 and 28%, from what I've read, depending on what country they're from, of their income back to their home country. And what's wonderful about that is they help their own home country, their economy, to continue. When that's cut off, when that money doesn't flow back, their families are going to get hurt. The country itself is going to get hurt. So in a very real sense, it's helping all around in every direction you can think of. But when we turn them away, everyone gets hurt as well. You know, one thing about religion, and I don't talk about religion much, I talk about faith and the deeper sense of belief and how we need to live out character and principle. But Jesus never said, love my religion. He said, love your neighbor. That's what he said. He never commanded anybody to love a religion, to be a Baptist or a Catholic or a Lutheran or anybody. He said, instead of that, love my neighbor as you love yourself. That's what he commanded us to do. You know, I mean, just a little tidbit of information in terms of Scripture. There's only one miracle that's found in all four Gospels. You know, there's probably 26 to 30 miracles found in the four Gospels. But among the four, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, there's only one miracle that's found in all of the Gospels. And that's the multiplication of the loaves and the fish. And which is interesting because it's about breaking the bread of friendship, meaning sharing your life and your abundance with those who have or those who have not. One of the things that happened that day when Jesus was, they only had 5 loaves and 2 fish, and or 7 loaves and 2 fish. They were, the apostles said, let's send the crowd away because we don't have enough food to feed them and they're hungry. And he said, no, feed them yourself. And they gathered up what they had and said, well, we've only got 5 loaves and 2 fish. It's not enough. And he said, let me bless the bread and then just start to pass it out. Well, what happened was, you know, you can say, well, a miracle and bread fell from heaven. Probably not. But what the scripture scholars would say is what happened that day was those who had gone off on this journey to listen to this itinerant preacher named Jesus, they wouldn't have left without some means, so they probably had some bread with them. And they began to share the bread they had with those who didn't have anything. And when that happens, everyone gets fed. So even those who are selfish and were hanging on to it for themselves, they began to be selfless and share the bread of friendship and the bread of plenty with other people. And everything seemed to multiply. And there was enough for and there was food left over. That's the miracle, really, is getting selfish people. What a miracle that is. Get selfish people to be selfless and care about other people. Now that is a true miracle. It's easy to open the bread truck in heaven and let loaves of bread fall down from the sky. That's easy. Doesn't take any effort on our part, but it takes a lot of effort, and it's a true miracle if a selfish person like me shares my bread with you, and vice versa. That's a miracle. And they say that's what happened that day. There was enough to go around. And in this world, we have enough to go around. But Tim, heaven is, the kingdom of God is among us. That was Jesus' own words. They call it realized eschatology. We're realizing the end time. The end time is heaven. And it came to earth. Heaven came to earth in that person of Jesus of Nazareth. So in a sense, we have a vision of heaven. We've already seen heaven, what heaven looks like. And that was the way Jesus lived his life. He said, do as I have done. You know, pick up and carry your cross as I have done. the cross of sacrifice and love and compassion. My math does not make sense. See, this is what you've been doing all night. It's like riddles. You make statements, I've never seen any healthcare success. Your math does not make sense. You don't come out and really say what you're thinking. Trust the thrust tonight, Tim. Come right out and say what your concern is, and maybe we can actually resolve something. So go ahead and explain what you mean. Your math does not make sense. Go ahead and please articulate that a little bit. And maybe we can come to some understanding. I would love that. Go ahead. Use the simple math. Go ahead, please. Evelyn, did you want to jump up on panel? I'm not sure what happened to Dolly. She was up here and Dolly, do you need another link? I could drop another link if that would help. I will go ahead and copy a link and drop it in Discord for you and see if we can get you to come up on that one, if that helps. And if anybody else, including you, Tim, if you want to come up, you're more than welcome. Okay. I dropped a link again in our Discord, so Dolly, if you're within earshot, feel free. Oh, okay. I don't know if you wanted to be up on panel, but I just dropped a link. You're welcome to. If anybody else wants to, I keep saying that, and no one's taking me up on it, but I'd be happy to have other people come up and Tim, what's the simple math, please? You've got me intrigued. I'd like to know what the simple math is. Ellen says, I can't. I work tomorrow and I'm already in bed. Okay, no problem. No problem. There's two of us. Two of you? You mean two Tim channels? Is that what you're saying? I don't know. Dilly, are you here?
I am. I thought I was there the whole time. I thought you muted me.
No.
Don't you wish you could do that in real life?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes.
Use the mute button. That's what I thought happened. I asked if you could hear me. I thought I was there. Oh, heavens.
No, you were perfectly fine all throughout.
Well, now.
Then something happened. I don't know. No, I never touched your audio. But we hear you loud and clear now.
Okay. I said really profound things. I mean, I saved the world while you needed me.
I'll bet you did. I
did. I took care of everything.
You want to hear a little bit, a very short clip of the big, beautiful bill?
I don't know. Will it give me nightmares?
No.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill is ugly for Americans. Let's go. Today, how this bill cuts and guts support for families who are already struggling to get by. This bill makes over $850 billion of cuts to Medicaid and CHIP, the Children's Health Insurance Program. This will cause millions of Americans to lose their health care, and the bill overall will cause most Americans to have higher premiums for their health insurance, causing even more Americans to tumble out of health care. It also guts the child tax credit for the lowest income Americans, making it harder on parents and harder for our kids to thrive. Remember, they're making these cuts in order to give tax breaks to the wealthiest Americans and biggest corporations. This is not a way to wish anybody a happy Father's Day. Congress shouldn't be fighting for billionaires. God, They've got the resources to take care of themselves. Who we should be fighting for is families that are struggling to raise their kids.
Okay, that's a kind of an eye-opener about the big beautiful bill, and that's very concerning. I'm going to play one other thing here, and this is about Doge. Elon Musk with Doge. I know that he's gone now. This is Steve Bannon, something Steve Bannon had to say, and I think you'll find it rather interesting.
Elon Musk.
Is there something about Elon?
I don't know. Maybe you have views on him, but he's gone now, obviously. And
he's not gone.
We saw.
He's not
well,
gone.
he's gone from the White House in an official capacity, and we saw what happened played out over social media platforms in the last couple of days. How would you characterize his time with the administration? Was it successful? Was Doge a success?
No, it's a total failure. This, I think, was the beginning of what President Trump started to worry about. He came in and he had the backing of President Trump, the backing of everybody. I'm a big believer in the deconstruction administrative state. He went in to find waste, fraud, and abuse. He committed to the president $2 trillion this year in this budget, then $1 trillion, then $165 billion. I asked the question, when you talk about waste, fraud, and abuse, I'm not talking programmatically like USAID or Department of Education. Those are things that pass in appropriations bills that Republicans have been arguing about forever. When you talk about like fraud, where is it? Where is the fraud in Social Security? Where's the fraud in Medicaid? Where's the waste, fraud, and abuse in the Pentagon, which is the Mac Daddy of it? Nothing. We haven't seen anything. I think President Trump, and this was reported in the Wall Street Journal, he looked around and goes, hey, is this just all BS? Where's actually the hard Doge money? We actually need it. This is one of the reasons we have this huge fight on Capitol Hill and we have these huge deficits, because programmatically, and he took the political class off the hook because he was like a fairy godmother. I'm going to fine you $1 trillion of fraud. Remember the State of the Union, the president took 3.5 minutes to go through this mantra of all these people in Social Security that were 200 years old and 150 years old. Not one penny was found that went to those recipients of Social Security. It was totally misleading. I think this is where the president, after he tried to force himself in to this briefing on the top secret war plan with China, and the president, I think, was very shocked about that. That's the inflection point. I believe the president started asking questions about, like, where is this thing going? And you've seen the decline of this whole Elon Musk and his influence since that time, and particularly on the Doge efforts. I'm sitting there, what I recommend these investigations about him personally and his businesses. Number one, we should have a formal report about exactly what Doge found.
So he's basically saying there wasn't even a penny of waste, fraud, and abuse. And I'm going to play for you one last thing here. Let's see here.
What's his legacy, if we know that yet?
Yeah, I'm not sure it was wreckage. There was wreckage if you're at NIH, there were wreckage at certain agencies. But the guy only saved $65 billion out of a multi-trillion-dollar budget. So as a budget matter, you would not say he had a big effect. But he did manage to destroy NIH and USAID. And the USAID one is the one I haven't gotten over. Mm-hmm. And so there's folks at Boston University who count how many people have died because of what Doge did at USAID. And USAID was a very ill-managed organization. That's true. But according to the Boston University folks, so far, 55,000 adults have died of AIDS in the 4 months since Trump was elected. 6,000 children are dead because of what Doge did. That's just PEPFAR, the HIV. You add them all up, that's 300,000 dead, and we're 4 months in. Now, you accumulate that over 4 years, the number of dead grows very high. There are mass murderers in the world, Pol Pot, Mao Zedong, Stalin. We don't have anybody on the list for America. And I don't think it's the same as committing the kind of genocide they did. But by taking away that agency and being at least semi-responsible for the deaths of probably by the end of this hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, that's Elon Musk's legacy. And the people who work at Tesla and SpaceX, we want to think about that.
And those are real lives. It's worth pointing out. Every single one of them lost.
Hundreds and thousands of lives, maybe millions. Unbelievable, but true. And then you heard, from, what's his name, speaking about there wasn't any savings whatsoever from Doge, or at least not, maybe a small pittance really was even verified. So waste and abuse, where? Couldn't find it. To me, that's the whole tragedy of this whole present administration. You know, we're wrecking the economy with the tariffs. People's 401ks are, just shot through, decimated and worse. people with this big, beautiful, horrible bill that's coming up are going to be thrown off of health care, and food stamps are going to be cut into and many more things as well. It's going to be just awful if that actually goes through. So, and that's just a small example of many things that. So we do have to be concerned. We really do. Let's see here on side chat. Ellen said we could have fixed U.S. aid without completely defunding. That's right, programs to save starving children and treatment of people with AIDS. Yeah, all of the lives that would have saved, especially in Africa, but other places, even here in our own country, a lot of U.S. aid went for those in need here, as well as others around the world, and the goodwill that comes from that. And now they say China will pick up where we left off, and China will be helping. And then also have that influence. We get something out of it as well, but we won't as long as we have circled the wagons and refused aid and help to those most in need outside of our own country. So anyway, I wasn't sure what was going to happen tonight, and this is just, I guess I kind of felt in the mood. It's not because my baseball team lost today, but it's just really depressing the way things are. But we can't get beyond depression if we don't talk about it. So that's why.
Are you going to be root beer or Sprite?
Actually, it's sugar-free. What do you call it? Like that I don't know. It's a combination of juices. What do they call that?
Oh, like Thai tea or fruit drink or something?
Yeah, a fruit drink. Yeah, something like that. I forget what it's called. It's my go-to right now. I mean, summer's finally hit Seattle, and I've been doing a lot of outside work, and so it really kind of replenishes the fluids really well. It's helped out.
I've been using this liquid IV. Let me read it to you.
I've never heard of
My daughter
that.
told me to do it. It's just another one of those powders you put in your water so your water doesn't suck. But it has electrolytes and it's sugar free and there's all kinds of good stuff in it. So if you're not drinking enough or you're not eating enough, this is a good way of getting back some stuff you need just in your water. And it does promote you to drink water. I don't drink water. I have been, though, with this. This really is helping. It's called Liquid IV, hydration.
I've never heard of it.
Yes, and mine happens to be lemon lime, but they had other things too. Kind of expensive, but I mean, what is it?
Where do you get it at?
I got it at Walmart. It's just another one of those powdered drinks. It's probably no better than the rest, but my daughter thinks it is.
That's awesome. I'd never heard of it before. I'll have to look for that.
I haven't either. And it really does taste good.
Hey, our friend Angela Critters did a recipe. I think it was today, and it was. And I looked for it, and it's really not easy to find out here. It's frozen cream corn, and she said you don't have to add anything at all. It's got everything in it, and it tastes just like the homemade stuff she remembers. And she gave it's a Bird's Eye product, but it's frozen, and it comes in like a tube, but it's frozen. So you just kind of open it up and put it in the frying pan. No lid required, and just gradually, with even heat, just start to let the ice melt. And that's a recipe I can do, but it really sounded simple, really nice. I just wish we could find it out here.
Well, I missed the first part because I think I thought I heard you wrong. Frozen cream corn? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's a Bird's Eye product. I forget, there's something else, some of the name to it. but frozen, yeah, green corn. But it's just like the Chinese country style that she has made, or she learned to make, and she said, "Don't even have to doctor it up or anything. It tastes great." And I had
She's
never heard of it,
amazing.
so oh,
I
she's
hadn't either.
tremendous. Yeah.
I hadn't either. But and I'm Southern. I mean, my grandmother should have taught me that, I guess. But I don't think I've ever had fried spring corn. Am I saying that
Right.
wrong?
Well, it's not really fried. I think they just kind of they melt it and stir it around in the pan. I mean, there's not much to
Um,
do. Yeah. Hey, can you hold on? Can you run the show for a minute, and I'll just
I
use the
can do
bathroom?
everything. Yes,
Okay. All right.
absolutely. Don't worry
Okay.
about anything. I got it under control. Run. I'm
All right. Be
scared.
right back. Okay.
Yeah, but mute yourself, hon. So, Evelyn, you got to work tomorrow? You know, I really, really, really miss working. I I miss almost everything about working. I miss my colleagues. I miss the people I worked with, the people I worked for. I miss the people I came across every day and hearing their stories and doing my best to bring them comfort if I can. I miss all that. You know what I don't miss? I don't miss the and you have a lot worse than this, Evelyn. I don't miss the commute. I do not miss that. And I didn't have the traffic and everything that you all do. I mean, I didn't live in a bigger city like you do, but where I worked was a big city, but I had to travel 40 miles to get there. And getting to work and getting all the kids in, blah, 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 you know the drill. I don't miss that. But you know, it was kind of nice to have that 40-mile round trip home because by the time that gave me time to go from work Dolly to mommy Dolly, I guess. It gave me time to decompress and to uh, take what I did that day. What can I do better? Where did I drop a ball? What did I do right? And then go home and find out I didn't do anything right for God's sake. But yes, I miss that.
Whoops. I guess I'm back.
Amen. Because man, I just had people. I was ready to, perform marriage ceremonies, and I couldn't find anybody married, but I was wanting to. You can marry anybody if you want. Well, no. Okay, let me go back. You could get a license to marry. Nope, going back again. You could perform a marriage ceremony. Anybody could do that, and anybody can get a license. Wanted to tell you that. You probably already knew that.
Hey, did you see my dog walk by in front of the camera?
Oh,
Yeah, I did too. Hey, I got one more
welcome.
thing to play. You mind if I play it?
Okay. Yeah.
You don't? You don't mind? Okay. Here we go.
No, I
It's
say
very
that wrong every time, don't I? Yes, I want to hear. I want to watch.
okay. It won't take long. Here we go.
Likely source. Take a look.
Donald Trump just got shredded, not by a Democrat, not by the media, but by a judge appointed by Ronald Reagan. In a blistering ruling that stunned the courtroom, District Judge William Young, a conservative jurist with over 4 decades on the bench, struck down Trump-era cuts to 357 NIH research grants. His ruling? The cuts were illegal, unconstitutional, and deeply discriminatory. Judge Young didn't mince words. He called out the Trump administration's agenda for what it was. I am hesitant to draw this conclusion, but I have an unflinching obligation to draw it, that this represents racial discrimination and discrimination against America's LGBTQ community. That's what this is. I would be blind not to call it out. My duty is to call it out. The grants Trump tried to terminate were largely tied to diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, a frequent target of MAGA rhetoric. But Judge Young emphasized that these weren't just budget decisions. They were targeted political strikes meant to dismantle protections for vulnerable communities. It's palpably clear that the grant terminations were designed to frustrate, to stop research that may bear on the health. We're talking about health here. The health of Americans, of our LGBTQ community. That's appalling. And that was just the beginning. I've sat on this bench now for 40 years. I've never seen government racial discrimination like this. I ask myself, how can this be? Would I have stood against all this if I weren't constitutionally protected? Would I have said, you can't do this? You are bearing down on people of color because of their color. The Constitution will not permit that. Have we fallen so low? Have we no shame? This ruling is a massive blow, not just to Trump's culture war against wokeness, but to the legal justification his allies have used to slash programs aimed at equity. And it's not coming from some liberal bastion. It's coming from a Reagan Republican. Judge Young's decision reinstates funding for all 357 grants and signals that the court could go even further as the case unfolds. But make no mistake, this isn't just a policy defeat for Trump. It's a moral and constitutional reckoning, called out by one of his own.
Long story short, once again, you have principled Republicans and the deranged MAGA cult. Of course, I'm glad to see some of these judges, even after being appointed by Reagan, still standing up to Donald Trump's nonsense. We need more of this. Because at this point, Donald Trump has made enemies with virtually everyone. And now he's even made an enemy out of the law.
Okay, so that was today. That ruling by the judge, I believe it's in Massachusetts, the district judge, was ruling today on the 15th, Monday. It's Tuesday now, but anyway, or not quite Tuesday where I am, but that happened on Monday. So that's brand new. That's very, very current. Just so that's good news. Evelyn, I don't know if you heard about that, but I just thought that I wanted to share that at the end. It's really, really good news. Lily?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, well, it's always good to end with some positive news. Now, they can appeal that, and no doubt they will. But hopefully, as that goes up the court ladder, it will continue to be ruled in the same way. So that returns a lot of the funding. Yeah, that was really excellent.
You got another song?
What's that?
Got another song?
Of course, yes.
I'm into it.
I do. You want to hear a song?
Yes, I do.
Now, we heard Imagine with John Lennon, which is a cover by the little Prochenko 4-year-old, right? So we won't play that. And we heard Stand By Me by Sharon Little, right? So we won't do that one. Yeah, it really has been. The judicial branch is really all we have right now, because legislative is inept and bankrupt. We have to have the midterms to get that back on track. Yeah, judicial is the only thing keeping things together. That is for sure. Okay, so we'll close out with, let's see if I can find
I
a
like
song.
those kids that Midnight Train to Georgia. I like that band, those kids.
Yeah,
That
they
we
are
can
great.
do. Yes, I know.
Well, yeah, I got to see who we've got here. Let's see. I'm just looking.
Anything by the girl with the hair. I love her.
Oh, Annalise. Yeah, Annalise is amazing. I don't. Oh boy. I don't see any of those. Maybe I'll have to play. Let's see. Give me just a minute here. Let's see.
I seriously thought you muted me.
No, I didn't. I
I
really
thought
didn't.
we were going to have words.
Oh, we can have words if you like. Anyway, but no, I didn't. I didn't meet you. I wouldn't do that. Well, I've only got her Annalise on Eric Clapton's song, which is nice, but we've heard that recently. Let's see.
You can't play her band. Her
Oh.
little.
I've got her Unfortunate Son, but is that going to depress you?
Well, which one is it? It's either that one or the other one that I don't like.
All right, well, let me start it, and you tell me if this is the one.
Okay. It's okay.
That's okay?
Well,
All
it's
right.
not my favorite.
Okay, we'll
No, no.
go out with this one, if that's all right with
Okay.
with the. Okay.
Because it is my show after all.
Some folks are born made with a flag. Oh, that red, white, and blue. And when the band plays hail to the chief, oh, they point the cannon at you, Lord. It ain't me, it ain't me. I ain't no senator, son. It ain't me, it ain't me. I ain't no fortunate one, no. Some folks are born silver spoon in hand. Lord, don't they help themselves, Lord? But when the tax man come to the door, Lord, the house looking like a rummage sale. It ain't me, it ain't me. I ain't no millionaire son, no, no. It ain't me, it ain't me. I ain't no fortunate one, no. Yeah, some folks inherit star-speckled eyes. Oh, they send you down a wall, Lord. And when you ask them, how much should we give? Ooh, the only answer is more, 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 more. It ain't me, it ain't me. I ain't no military son, Lord. It ain't me, it ain't me. I ain't no fortunate one. It ain't me, it ain't me. I ain't no fortunate one. No, no, no. It ain't me, it ain't me. I ain't no fortunate son. No, no. It ain't me.
That's I'm Y2. I miss you too. And I guess they're out of Nashville. We found out she's 32 years old. She is out. So sorry, guys. She's a heartbreaker. But I would say an up and coming band. Really good musicians behind her as well. So really good talent. Thanks for being up here, Dolly, and thanks to everyone on Side Chat. Best to everyone, and never be disheartened. Try to find hope in humanity, and we can overcome what we're dealing with. This country has overcome slavery. It's overcome bias against many people, including the poor, those of different skin color and different religion, misogyny. Women have had to fight for the right to vote, sexual discrimination, and on and on and on. And we have overcome all of that, and will continue to overcome the problems we face today. Good night, everybody.
Good night. See you later. Thanks for coming.